Welcome to our spring series. It is so much fun to have you here today because this is something that I ordinarily don't do, and that's a craft. And a craft, I use that term loosely because it's amazing. And this is one of my very dear friends, Susan, who we've known each other for 20 years. And she's come over because I don't know if you're going to remember, but last year, right? We did my daughter's bridal shower, and she had her daughter's baby shower, and the year before that we did another daughter's baby shower. And at each shower, people commented on her chargers. And I thought, wow, because the way she does them are brilliant and all of us could learn from it, I thought it would be really neat if she'd come to my house and do some samples for us. So welcome, Susan, and thank you for being here. All right, so what exactly are we doing?
Okay.
And walk us through it.
All right. So this project is for events that are less than 40 to 50 people. And when you're having a wedding or something more substantial, you can do business-to-business rentals with pretty lovely rental supply houses with wonderful designs. When you're having a smaller gathering, those rental options are not an option. They don't rent to individuals typically, or you need a florist or event designer to rent through.
Right, because they've done they've rented to my Thanksgiving, but you're not making it personal touches. You're going all white or all cream.
Correct. I'll show you that in a moment. Okay. The other issue is they will want you to rent more than chargers. You'll have to rent utensils and chairs and plates and cups. If you just want to go to a rental place and rent chargers, you're going to basically have white, gold, black, or copper.
The options. Yeah.
And if you don't have an exciting tablecloth, those basic solids will not pop. Why is that important? When you're having a small gathering, you're either having a plated dinner by a caterer or a server, or you have a buffet. So all your rentals or dishes are up at the buffet.
Right.
And your tabletop looks pretty bland with just utensils. So you need something on the tabletop for when guests come to the table, it still looks pretty exciting. And you're typically only going to be probably renting very solid colored tablecloths.
Well, and take for instance the girls' shower. I mean, you're talking, 40 or 50 people there. You're not going to go out and buy 50 chargers.
Exactly. Well, that's the other piece. They're $12
expensive.
to $40 when you have a design.
Okay.
So other than the plain ones, these are my favorite. Hobby Lobby offers these metal ones for about 99 cents.
Oh, wow. And it's Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby. Okay. And, or they have, and I'll show you another one, but they have a really nice heavy plastic, but it has beading on the edges.
Okay.
So I'll take you through the project, but this is the easiest.
Okay.
Why is this the easiest? Well, because this was for your daughter's bridal shower.
So she sat down with Avery ahead of time just to find out what colors Avery loved, and Avery's new last name is Orange. So Susan did these chargers with orange.
But below it was Teddy's rehearsal dinner design, which was a different Gaspari design. Okay. And over there might be Alex, your
my
daughter,
other daughter
in there
might
too.
be there because you did a blue
right.
toile,
So
right?
I just kept layering, and I just want it just peels right off, and that's what we're going to do today. This
All right,
was,
so show me. This is so exciting.
So what you're going to do?
What do you need to have?
All right, supplies: scissor, Mod Podge. I prefer the glossy one. And sponge applications.
You can get all those at Michael's, right?
Before you do anything, though, you want to go out, and I like to get the latest spring collection from Gaspari or Pierre Frey, or any other higher-end guest towel.
Okay.
Not the
thin napkins.
Not the napkins, not the luncheon napkins, and not the cocktail napkins, because they won't cover a charger. A charger is 13 to 14 inches. A dinner plate is 11 to 12, and it's going to sit in this recessed portion. So you need a guest towel, paper, which is a lot less expensive than going to buy a charger or rent it, and it will fill the whole plate. So what you're going to do is unfold.
And by the way, Pierre Frey is my wallpaper in my bathroom, so I do love Pierre Frey. Here is your Pierre Frey napkin.
So I went and got their new collection, which is the iCat and then this one.
Okay.
And then you're going to trace the charger on the guest towel. And even if it doesn't fit perfectly,
we started by putting a butcher paper on my island so that it just wouldn't
it's gonna
leak
get
through
sticky.
any Mod Podge.
Yeah, Mod Podge will shellac your fingers together if you're not careful. All right, so we're going to cut this out, so you can do that.
I'll cut that.
And error on extra.
Extra, okay.
Don't like cut to the line.
So how much extra?
Like a quarter of an inch.
Okay.
Ish or little. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
You don't have to be perfect.
Okay.
And again, this is like putting a puzzle piece together. You can't do this wrong.
Okay.
It's super easy.
Every event that she throws, she changes it up, and I have to tell you, it makes the table beautiful.
And we'll go over a couple of
Yes,
samples.
we're gonna give some samples.
How do you make a tabletop fun? I love a lot of patterns and textures. So those are the alternatives when you're setting up your tabletop for a family gathering or Thanksgiving or a holiday or a special event. Again, this is for a small group. So anyway, I'm just painting
Mod Podge on the 99 cent.
You know, it's like buttering a cake pan. That's basically all you're doing. But make sure you have enough, not too much. You don't want it super
Soaking.
thick because then it will rip the paper. Basically, you're attaching the paper towel to the charger. Oops. And make sure you get the edges and everywhere you can. And see how I almost ruined your counter? That's why you need the butcher block.
I love that I know somebody who does this because I don't
So you're basically buttering the pan. That's all you're doing.
Okay.
And then you want to make sure you cover this every time because it gets quickly.
Cover what?
Yeah.
Oh, cover this
Cover
quickly.
the Mod Podge because it dries quickly. And then you're going to try to just eyeball it. But again, you can't go wrong. And then see how I have a little piece there, but we're going to get to that in a second. And then you just press down.
Okay.
You go to all of the edges. You just try to even it out. Don't pull too much. It might rip.
No, and what's
even
nice
if
is
it
it's
rips,
a thicker. It's guest towel, so it's thicker.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a cloth,
Now,
a linen.
I did your daughter's with fabric because I couldn't find orange and white gingham guest towels. And it's harder to work with. Fabric isn't easy, and regular napkins and tissue paper are not as easy. This consistency is like comfortable. This is great.
Okay.
But see how there's a piece there?
Yes, that's missing.
So we go back.
Do I cut a little piece?
Well, you want to match it up. So try to get like a
line,
stripy
like
thing.
right here.
Yeah, yeah. Not too long though. Probably 2.5 inches ish.
Okay.
And then you're going to go back to buttering the cake pan. You're just going to cover the whole thing now again in Mod Podge. And you're just going to try to line that up.
Okay.
And again, it doesn't matter
Doesn't matter.
if it's perfect or not because you're going to cut this eventually.
Okay.
Once all of the Mod Podge dries.
It's like wallpapering.
Yep. But once it dries, you can trim the edges.
Okay.
Or what I did for my daughter's baby shower was I trimmed it in a color. So that's why I have the paint pens out or nail polish. Either one works great. So if you have a beaded charger that you're working with and it gets a little bit lumpy and hard to work with, or even like a bonding on the edge, you could add a colored paint all the way around it just to make it look even. And we'll see that in some of the examples. But this is all I'm doing.
That's it. And
you're
it's
just
done.
painting this. It takes about 3 hours or so to dry. I like to leave them overnight.
Okay.
Because what you're going to end up doing is with the razor's edge or my really good scissor, once this is dry.
Could you use one of those, Bob uses them when he does work, one of those razor blade
You could,
edges.
but be super careful.
Okay.
Oop, see, I almost messed it up.
That's okay. Again,
So
you can't mess it
dry.
up.
You can't mess it up. This is, kids can help you do this.
Yeah.
That's
would be fun. Even if you're having a party for the kids, let them choose a really fun pattern and make them themselves.
Exactly. And I just keep reusing the same chargers. That's why,
brilliant.
The patterns
It's brilliant.
are each, there.
Yeah.
So that's all you do. And then you let it dry. Don't, make sure you don't have any bubbles, no tears. Did I tear that piece right there?
No, it looks great. And a plate's going to sit on top of it
I just let it sit on top in air.
Okay.
And then you're going to eventually either when it starts to dry, I don't mind like pushing these in a little bit.
Okay.
If
You
you're
don't
not
push
gonna
them
trim
down? You don't?
You could.
You can. That's
it's too wet now to do, but wait for it to kind of get a little sticky and tacky.
Okay.
And then you could push them in or trim them. I like to just push them in.
Okay.
And then again, if it had the beading, I would paint a border of gold or white or something around the edge, which is super easy to do.
It's
and
awesome.
that's it.
And then you lay your plate on that, and then you could put a fun orange plate on top of your white
or a salad
plate.
plate.
That's what I mean. I meant like
or a
an
butter
orange salad plate.
And or fun napkins, because you're just not going to be able to rent patterns that you like, that are good quality cotton or hem stitch or anything.
You need to go into business just doing this, Susan.
No, I like to do it for friends and family, and that's my limit.
That's it. That's your limit. Well, I want you to show us, because I think you've brought many examples of ones you've done in the past and how you would set those at a table.
Yeah.
So I think they're already set in the dining room.
Will do.
So let's go on in there. Okay, so now we're in the dining room, and what you've done is you've actually set basically almost, 7 or 8 individual place settings and the way you would do it, ideas in a party. So
this is kind of summer, Serena and Lily, kind of, you have your rattans and your blues and greens, and this is the one we just did.
So you put like a regular placemat.
I like to stack placemats and a lot of, texture.
And then
I use, this particular placemat, and then I'm layering the charger on top
of it.
And then this, again, use what you have. I own these, but I don't have enough chargers, and that's why this particular charger just makes that tabletop pop. If that were plain white, it wouldn't be as fun, right?
No.
So it pulls out the rattan and the bamboo, and these are darling little plates. You can layer that. You have the dinner plate that matches, and again, look how pretty that would look with the blue.
Yes.
And then your hydrangeas, so everything kind of flows.
Because remember, plates are being set on these. So again, it's the layering. What we'll show is the band around.
Exactly. And when the guests come to the table, they're going to see this, because they'll have their plate in their hand.
And they're like,
or they'll be seated, and then a plate's coming to them. And then it just makes the experience that much more fun.
Okay, so what do you have here?
So here is another one of their new patterns. Okay. So we did it on the same Hobby Lobby charger.
Yeah.
But here you have the robin egg blue.
Because you just pulled out colors that were in the charger.
Yeah. And I had this particular tablecloth. So it depends on the season you're in, but see how the beautiful, you could kind of match up your colors and your glassware. So I pulled out the lime, the light blue, and the kind of the Bordeaux red, but that works there. This is your daughter's, we use this for her bridal shower.
Yeah.
But again, if, this would be super fun with all of these colors. If you have a burlap-y kind of tablecloth with the burlap trim, or linens, or this check, lots of colors, it actually works.
But it's layering. It's like I tell people, even when you're doing a room, layer texture, layer color. And
you could lay an orchid on each place setting.
That's
so
gorgeous.
if your priority are flowers and not spending money on chargers or linens, how lovely would that be for every guest to have an orchid, with their napkin? So that works. And then here's another one of their new designs for the summer.
Look at that. We've got animals. I love this. This is just makes me happy.
Yeah, it does. And I own the Matu placemats. So again, it would be pretty boring to just have the white.
Yeah,
gold.
if you were, let's say this is a white plate and you just set that on there, it'd be
it's
lovely.
Nice.
It would be
it's
lovely.
Nice.
But
then,
how
fun is this to have that there instead? And then you could even alternate colored napkins. Like I have all kinds of napkins. I love cloth napkins. So you could not even use all orange if you want. You can alternate around your table. But again, these colors and the beauty of the flowers are pulled out in just simply the charger.
I love it.
This is
Love
wonderful
this.
for the
I love
summer.
seersucker. You know me. I love seersucker.
Love this. And, this whole piece here, this is just asking for summer to start.
So can I just say, she even took one of your, it's a rattan napkin holder, and you wrapped basically ribbon around it. Hot glue gunned it.
If you want to do that, that looks super fun in either color.
Yep.
And then just spread it on the charger.
Right.
So instead of doing a ribbon, you could just have that
Like
there.
that.
But it all
gorgeous.
works and just makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
Again, if that were just plain white or gold or clear,
yeah,
it's okay.
And I will say, I do a lot with the simplicity of whites, and then one pop of color when you're going for a very clean, fresh look. But there is something so much fun to walk into a party or a dinner party. I mean, it's a conversation piece.
It is. It is.
So, I mean, look, so here was your example of having a white tablecloth with a white charger.
Which is lovely.
Which is lovely, but
it depends on the event.
It depends on the
So
event.
if you're doing a bridal shower, maybe that could work. Lovely.
I don't know, but this is pretty fabulous. I think the pink and green is pretty
The pink and green
wonderful.
was great. This was my daughter's baby shower. Pink, elements. We own these. These are my mom's. So like there's different
Those are your
parts.
mom's.
These
I
are my
love that you
mom's.
pulled those in.
Right. And I owned these placemats. So I use what you own. I own these napkins. And then how do we bring in,
So wait,
versus...
I think I see my daughter's
there's
stuff.
probably
oh
somebody...
yeah, and this is lovely.
That's lovely. That still works.
That's beautiful.
Right.
But there's something really fun.
But
I mean, that's
parts
a conversation.
of the event were all blue and white stripes, pink and white stripes.
Yes.
So that's why that kind of helped bring that together. Yeah.
And I get the giggles because I can almost tell you
think.
what party was underneath it. So, oh my goodness.
Works.
Is there any other little piece of... Just get creative. What stores do you go into to find those napkins?
Wherever you are in the country, any
TJ
lovely
Maxx,
gift
Home
shop.
Goods, gift shop?
No, because you want pretty nice quality
Okay.
guest towels.
Okay.
And not thin,
napkins.
super thin, because the Mod Podge is going to rip the paper once you start, buttering your cake pan. It will rip. So unless it's like we didn't have a problem with ripping.
Okay.
Because it was a nice guest towel, but it's still, $9
Cents on the dollar for all of them.
For all of it,
Yeah.
versus renting this for $12 or buying it for $40.
Yeah.
So it depends on any nice gift shop in your local town. Will have a Gaspari or a Pierre Frey or whatever brand,
Home
as long
stores.
as it's nice.
Like there's a home store in
Here in Wayne, is Little House.
Little House, that's what I was going to
has
say. And
wonderful
they have tons
collection.
of napkins.
Valley Forge Flowers has a very nice collection. So it just depends on your town.
Yeah.
And stick with brands, or you could even do it online and have them shipped to you. Go right to Gaspari and look at their new spring collection.
Okay.
So different suppliers are coming out with different guest towels.
Okay.
Just make sure they're not the really thin knockoff ones, because it will rip.
It will rip. I love it.
Yeah,
I hope
they came out great.
I hope you are inspired, because the spring and the summer in particular, I think, when you're also seating outside. I mean, truth be known, all I've got is a straw. You're very familiar with everything I have. I have a straw placemat, and then Bob made me some leather charger placemats. And then he cut me a whole log and did wooden chargers. But I have nothing with color.
But even the iCat that we did today would
that
look
would fit
great
right
on the
and
leather.
Yes.
On the leather placemat.
That's what I need to do.
So, any of these would work on that.
I know, but I like the
summer look.
iCat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just need to take the time. It's taking the time. Grab a friend. Grab your kids. This is something that they're going to feel like, I mean, if you've got kids, they're going to love doing this.
Yeah, and it's very pleasing. Like I did mine at the beach, on the ocean, like on the water, and let them dry outside.
Yeah.
On the back deck, and it was very cathartic.
Yeah.
So
and then have all your girlfriends over for lunch
Yeah.
and enjoy them. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much again for joining us, and thank you, Susan.
thank you.